do have coming in. Confirmed reports, I repeat, confirmed reports of nuclear detonation.
Slow down, on your way to Futuretown, I sailors, we pass by.
Now in this countdown, we are gonna be taking a look at 5 of the most badass, brutal, and by far absolutely insane melee weapons currently available on the Fallout 4 Nexus. So if you enjoy monstrously overpowered and oversized swords, certain items from previous Fallout titles, and weapons that come packed with their very own custom sound effects, then without further ado, I present to you the top 5 melee weapons for Fallout 4. At number 5 we have the Monster Hunter Swords Mega Pack mod by Derpsdale. Now, the Monster Hunter Swords Mega Pack is a weapon pack mod, adding in 14 custom-made swords straight from the Monster Hunter game franchise, all of which coming packed with their very own custom high-quality textures and meshes. Now, even though these weapons might not exactly fit into the world of Fallout 4, there is definitely no shortage of monsters you could hunt within the Commonwealth. So if you are the type of player who just loves wandering through the wasteland, hunting down the biggest, baddest and strongest of monsters, be it for food, sport or pleasure, then this mod should definitely provide you with the means to do so. The mod itself adds in 11 brand new great swords, 2 daggers and a single one-handed sword, all of which can be crafted over at the camp station, provided you have the required materials and perks required to make them. And to make things even better, the mod maker has even included a custom upgrade mechanic, preventing you from crafting some of the more powerful and endgame items from the get-go, seeing as how they require you to have their predecessor within your inventory if you want to craft them, making it so some of these weapons can be leveled up alongside your character as you progress through the game. Now I know what you may be thinking, but Magi, what if the real monster here is Nan? Don't worry, I've got you covered. I've never been much of a fan of the Monster Hunter franchise, but seeing all of these beautiful and badass weapons within Fallout 4 really does make me want to have a crack at it, especially considering that a new game just recently came out. Now I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play Fallout 4, I immediately want everyone in the vicinity to know that I've got a pecker the size of a fucking baked bean, and what better way to do so than with the help of a gargantuan greatsword firmly planted within my hand. I mean, I guess yelling it out loud to every person I meet might do the trick, but I think a prominently placed giant greatsword might be a whole lot easier. At number 4 we have the Murdering Chainsaw by Trickyvein. Now the Fallout universe is by far my single favorite post-apocalyptic universe ever, but it does lack a certain, very specific post-apocalyptic element, and that being a big-ass fucking chainsaw. I suppose the Fallout universe does have its tiny militarized chainsaw, or the Ripper as you might call it, but in comparison to this mod, it will make it seem like a limp-dick piece of shit. Now the Murdering Chainsaw mod adds in exactly what the name implies, and that being a big, vicious motherfucking chainsaw, with the help of which you will be able to absolutely eviscerate and dismember anyone who stands in your way. The weapon itself has been added to the leveled list and will spawn through all out the Commonwealth, on various raiders and even Rust Devils as soon as you hit level 18. And will start spawning on merchants as soon as you hit level 15. In addition, slightly more powerful, augmented versions of the weapon will start spawning on certain high-level raiders as soon as you reach level 26. Now this might just be me, but I'm a sucker for weapons that come packed with their very own custom-made sounds. And while this one might not be the best one out there, I mean, I can certainly think of a few better ones. It does definitely add far more character to this monster of a weapon. Now, when it comes to the customization capabilities of this weapon, the mod maker provides you with a decent sum of augmentations to choose from, allowing you to increase the damage and adding certain status effects, customize the color of this weapon, and even add a few miscellaneous attachments, be that adding fire jets and turning this weapon into a fucking shish kebab, or even slapping on a goddamn skull. And I mean, just look at that shit, it doesn't get any more post-apocalyptic than that. Well, besides dressing up in bondage gear for some fucking reason. Now this is by far one of the most badass, unique and downright interesting weapons available for Fallout 4. I'm honestly quite surprised that there aren't any more chainsaw mods out there. I mean, it definitely seems like the ideal weapon to have in a post-apocalyptic world. And if nothing else, it is incredibly satisfying, chopping the head of some poor motherfucker clean off. And when it comes to the combat capabilities of this weapon, it is just about as powerful as you'd expect a giant fucking chainsaw to be, giving you the ability to absolutely shred through some of the most deadly and powerful creatures of the wasteland. So head on over to the Fallout 4 Nexus, give this mod a download, and make the Texas Chainsaw Massacre look like a fucking joke. Next up, at number 3, we have the Wrench Sword by Gogar. Now, the Wrench Sword mod is a pretty simple, pretty straightforward mod, adding in only one brand new weapon into the Commonwealth, and that of course being the Wrench Sword. Now, this is the exact type of weapon you'd expect to find in a post-apocalyptic scenario, especially considering that all of the parts required to make this weapon can be found throughout the wasteland, as well as it only requires a very small amount of skill to craft it, seeing as how it is literally a sharp blade on top of a wrench, fashioned to look like a handle. Now, even though this mod only got 16 endorsements, it is by far one of the better melee weapons I have found on the Fallout 4 Nexus. I mean, the textures and meshes seem to be pretty good, although they could use a little bit of work every now and again, and the implementation of the weapon is pretty spot on, considering the mod maker has added it to the level list and spawns for all out the Commonwealth on any raider level 7 or higher. Ever since I found the bumper sword in a previous Fallout game, I was a massive fan of improvised weaponry. Now, while the wrench sword might not be nearly as badass as the bumper sword, it is definitely a step in the right direction. And much like with the bumper sword, I'd imagine the night this weapon was created started somewhere along the lines of this. And ended something like this. Now, unfortunately, the weapon itself is not customizable in any way, shape nor form, which is honestly quite a shame, because I could easily see myself attaching barbed wire, a stun pack, or maybe even a slightly more efficient handle to a weapon such as this. Now, believe it or not, but someone's weapon of choice can really tell a lot about a person. For example, that one might say, I am an alcoholic, I built my own furniture, and you should probably keep your kids away from me. And this is the exact type of weapon that just screams, hey there, I'm handy around the house, and I even built my very own lakeside cabin, at which I slaughtered a whole bunch of horny teenagers, but guess what? I looked sporty as fuck while doing it. And yeah, you should definitely keep your kids away from that guy, because
he lives on the moon?
I tried so hard and got so far.
Nearing the end here, at number 2, we have the Plasma Swords mod, once again by Tricky Vane. Now, the Plasma Swords mod is a pretty simple, pretty straightforward weapon mod, adding in exactly what the name implies, and that being a fucking plasma sword, coming packed with its very own custom-made meshes, high-resolution textures, and an utterly batshit insane overall design. The weapon itself has been added to the leveled list and should start spawning through all out the Commonwealth on certain specific merchants and various synths as soon as you reach level 25. Now, when it comes to melee weapon mods, the Fallout 4 Nexus can be found quite lacking. I mean, sure, there are a few of incredibly made ones out there, but for the most part, it's just a bunch of plain, uninspired, and quite similar looking swords, or more specifically, katanas. Now, don't get me wrong, I love katanas as much as the next guy, and whenever I watch an episode of Samurai Jack, I get a throbbing hard on.
Samurai fool!
Yeah? But after some point, after seeing the same basic katana mod for the 50th fucking time, you need something a little bit more interesting and unusual. And this mod will definitely provide you with that, seeing as how it is by far one of the most unique melee weapons ever made for Fallout 4. And when it comes to customization, the mod maker most certainly does provide, considering you could modify the hilt increasing the damage and adding various status effects, and even customize the wavelength of the blade, increasing the damage even further and even changing the color. Despite the absolutely insane looking aesthetic of this weapon, it fits into Fallout 4 quite well. Perhaps because of the overall style chosen by the mod maker, or maybe just the fact that he used some vanilla meshes and textures when making the weapon. Whatever the case, I could definitely see some synths, gunners, perhaps even Brotherhood of Steel Knights using weapons such as this on their various encounters throughout the wasteland. This is by far one of my favorite melee mods for Fallout 4, perhaps even one of my favorite mods of all time. And not just because of the surprisingly high overall quality, not even the absolutely insane design, but mainly because of the incredibly satisfying humming sound it makes whenever you equip it. I mean, come on, just listen to that. It honestly sounds like you have a fully functioning, primed laser sword mere inches away from your fucking face. And as we all know, some of the best Fallout 4 weapons are the ones that come with custom sound effects. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am a massive fan of the Star Wars franchise, despite Rian Johnson and Electronic Arts working their goddamn asses off in trying to ruin it. And even though these swords might not exactly be lightsabers, they definitely come decently close, giving you the ability to recreate some of your favorite Star Wars scenes within Fallout 4. And last but not least, at number 1, we have the classic Super Sledge mod by WJS97. Now, the classic Super Sledge mod adds in a brand new, custom-made melee weapon into the Commonwealth, heavily themed after the Super Sledge found within Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, coming packed with its very own custom meshes, higher resolution textures, and even a few brand new, unique abilities. If you're like me, Fallout 4's poor excuse for a Super Sledge might have disappointed you greatly. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a unique and interesting looking weapon, but it does definitely lack a slight girth, and that is why I am incredibly glad to be able to play with this weapon once more, thanks to Nexus Mod's very own WJS. The weapon itself has been added to the leveled list and should start spawning on various NPCs throughout the Commonwealth as soon as you reach level 10. As well as the mod maker has even made a custom unique variant of this weapon, which can be found in the Forgotten Church within the Glowing Sea, and that being the Oh Baby, which you might remember from Fallout New Vegas. Suffice to say, as soon as you hit someone with this weapon, you will send that motherfucker flying. And when it comes to customization, this weapon by far surpasses the vanilla version of the Super Sledge, seeing as how the mod maker provides you with a plethora of modifiers you could attach all over this weapon. Be that a stun pack, a glowing hot iron brand, a fucking buzzsaw, or even a stop sign, which is guaranteed to make your enemies
Stop! Hammer time!
Not only does this weapon look absolutely fucking gorgeous and is completely lore-friendly, but it is also by far one of the most powerful melee weapons in the entirety of Fallout 4, modded or otherwise. And to make things even better, the mod maker also provides you with a unique attachment for this weapon, and that being the Asgardian modifier, making this weapon even more badass and giving you a brand new, unique inherent ability. And that being, whenever you land a critical hit on someone, a ranged version of Thor's hammer will spawn within your inventory, giving you the ability to throw it at oncoming opponents, just like you would a grenade. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in my spare time I do incredibly enjoy pretending I am Thor, no matter how socially frowned upon it may be. I mean, sure, when Thor starts throwing around hammers, he's a fucking hero, but when I do it, I'm a raging alcoholic and need to leave the hardware store. Fucking hypocrisy is what that is. If for some odd reason you actually enjoyed watching this video and would like to watch more, then subscribe to the channel. As always, my name is Nagi, you've been watching TrollenBros. Until next time guys, I'll see ya!